Hello, everyone.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Christmas stream, holiday stream.
It really is a Christmas miracle. We're here on time.
I know. How about them apples? I'm sorry you can't make it, Dan, but that is a very good question. Who was Lily's maid of honor?
If Sirius was the best man, who was Lily's maid of honor? Maybe Mary? I don't even know if that's a real character. I'm just thinking of all the young dudes.
Yeah,
I really
she's a
don't know
character.
any.
Marlene McKinnon is not a made-up character. She's
I feel like that's
part
the
of the
only
canon, but I don't know if she was like. Yeah, I don't know.
if she was close to them.
Yeah.
Or if they just kind of were acquaintances.
She's literally mentioned as she was murdered during the war. Like, that's it.
So yeah, I don't know. I have no idea who would have been her maid of honor, because we really don't know any of the female characters from the 70s.
Alice Longbottom, maybe? I don't know.
Hey, Timothy, how's it going?
Welcome. Thank you for joining us on Christmas Eve day.
Doing this a little bit earlier because I'm sure everyone has family and stuff they have to get to. I mean, we got some stuff planned later.
We do have stuff we have to do later, so we figured let's do the stream earlier in the day.
But how could we not stream the day before Christmas when we have the Firebolt to read?
Yes, so the chapter we decided to read was a Christmas chapter, and we picked the book 3 Christmas chapter, chapter 11, the Firebolt.
Tom, Merry Christmas.
Yes,
and thank you for dropping in.
Yes.
Appreciate it. Ow. Jackson is such a loaf today. Like, he is just limp. I think Jackson has missed us doing streams. Like, you've waited too long.
Right? Happy birthday. Oh, good luck going to Florida.
I mean, that'll be a nice Christmas. Spend the Christmas on the beach.
It'll be warm, that's for sure. Kitty is very comfy. He's a happy man right now. He's a happy dude.
Streaming is like his favorite time because it's the one time we all kind of just sit down and don't move for an extended period of time. So he just gets to lay down on the laps. Like, anytime we both walk over to the computer to stream, like, he just runs out, he knows, and jumps up.
Yep, he knows this is love and pet time. It was negative, well, it was
like -5, but the wind chill brought it down to like -20 something.
Yeah, it was like -21 with the wind chill. Fahrenheit, not Celsius, because, you know, America.
My, yeah. My hand froze to our doorknob as I was going to open the door coming in last night.
Fun times. Good stuff. Fun times. Oh, you're gonna listen to me read it today while we go through the chapter and discuss.
Oh, some serious criticism. You're getting a fresh Jim Dale read.
I know, fresh off Jim Dale. Now I gotta compete with that. That's tough.
It's alright, you can do it. I believe in you.
You have faith?
I have faith.
Alright, well, that's good. Ready when you are.
Oh, you're the one reading. I'm just here to, I don't know, just kind of be in the way, I guess.
Feel free to
make sure that the technology works properly.
Feel free to chime in with any thoughts or ideas of your own.
I mean, I will, but I see all those post-its in the chapter, so I don't think there's anything I could come up with that you have not.
Some of them are just exclamation points.
Oh, just, this was awesome.
Yeah. Oh. Some of them are not, like, actual. Tom found a plot flaw.
A plot flaw?
Oh boy.
In, like, this book particular, or just the Harry Potter series?
In general, yes.
because I'm interested.
Yep. Go ahead and tell us what that is first before we start.
I was thinking about this and thinking about what it was. I can't remember. There was something I wanted to ask that
All right, let it out. What's the plot flaw? Because everything that I've ever seen that's considered a plot hole, Katie and I have been able to find an explanation for.
Oh, really?
That it's not a plot hole. So, I'm curious to see what the plot hole is.
The Potter defenders over here.
Yes, always.
Harry blows up Aunt Marge. Right?
Yes.
Great scene, by the way. I
Lovely.
love that.
I feel like if it was Voldemort, he would have just he would have blown her up till she popped.
Probably. I also feel like someone at the Ministry kind of knows about her, and that's maybe why Harry got off so easy. They're like, you blew it. She probably deserved it. All right.
Well, we know why he got off so easy.
Well, I know. Well, that's what they said officially.
Well, I mean, Fudge is like, bit of underage magic, it's fine.
That's what I mean. It's like, they probably went to go fix her and was like, okay, lady, you deserve this. Harry, we understand.
But then in year 5...
I almost left her.
But then in year 5, they want to expel him for actually defending himself against Dementors.
Yeah.
And Dudley. Yep, leaves intending to leave forever. Yep. I'm waiting for where the plot hole is.
I actually did see something where the director of Prisoner of Azkaban...
Mm-hmm.
So, one of the plot holes with the movie, not the book, because he actually uses a flashlight in the beginning, but the movie, he's using a Lumos.
Yeah.
And they're like, why is he using underage magic?
Right.
Well, the director went out and said that Lumos is too weak of a spell for the tag to pick up. Because when he does defend himself against the Dementors, they only catch him because of the Patronus, even though he uses Lumos to find his wand. So that isn't picked up.
I don't know about that.
I don't know either, but that was the direct... Just because we're talking about this and this book, like, it came to mind because I read that recently.
What?
Oh, because he intended to leave forever. So the mother spell
would it have broken the spell?
Maybe just the fact that he didn't leave, because he leaves every year.
That wouldn't break the spell.
Dumbledore says that he has to come back for a certain period of time.
He always has to return.
So as long as he was at the house for that period of time, he returned. He's basically good for another year.
Yeah.
Until his birthday again.
Yeah, that doesn't break the spell. Yeah. Him saying, I'm an outcast, I'm leaving forever, that doesn't break the spell. If
he left and he didn't return by his birthday, it would have broken the spell.
Yeah, that would break the spell. If that spell could be broken by just that 13-year-old angsty decision to run away, like, that's some weak magic right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he would have had to have not come back the following year in order for the spell to break. The spell is determinant on the fact that Harry comes back. Not that.
Yeah.
But a good thought.
And that he always would... I think Dumbledore's words are he has to consider it home.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
I mean, he doesn't really consider it his home. He considers Hogwarts his home. But it is the place where he was raised. If you wanted to,
like, you know, pry out a plot hole, you might be able to go down that rabbit hole.
I still don't think it holds. Spell was contingent only on the fact that he intended never to return again. Plot flaw. No, I don't think so. It's the spell is contingent on the fact that he returns every year to stay. And that the Dursleys are willing to take him. It's also contingent on Petunia keeping him.
Yeah.
So it's not just that Harry is.
And I said it before, but correct me if I'm wrong. It's up until his birthday. That's why Dumbledore makes him go home to the Dursleys every year. But after his birthday, he can go to the Weasleys.
He celebrates his birthday at the Weasleys.
Oh, does he?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe not. Then.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why.
He
or if there is an extended period of time where he just has to walk through the door and he's good.
Oh no, he spends his birthday at the Weasleys in 7. Never mind. But either way, he leaves the Dursleys a couple of times before his birthday.
Oh, okay.
First of all, the spell is very complicated, right? So it's Lily's blood, her sister, who's also Lily's blood, Harry living in the house and returning there every year. The spell hinges not just on Harry coming back, but on Petunia keeping him in the house as well.
Mm.
Yeah, he was in the shack on the island in the first book. So he wasn't at the Dursleys' house every time for his birthday.
But he was with the Dursleys.
He was with them. Birthday, only Sunday, significant because became adult, only protected him as a child. Right, that's why I said in book 7, it like I said in book 7, he spends his birthday there, but that's because he leaves. It doesn't matter. Book 7 doesn't count because the spell breaks. But the point is that the spell is contingent on multiple factors, and Harry thinking I have to live as an outcast and I'm not coming back wouldn't break the spell.
Yeah.
The spell would break if Harry left, never came back, and that whole, like, the whole reason for him leaving has nothing to do with not necessarily not wanting to stay at the Dursleys or anything. It's all dependent on the fact that he just got in trouble and he thinks he's going to get expelled. It's got nothing to do with whether or not he calls the place home or returning or any of that. It's him basically freaking out and thinking he has to go on the run. That would not break the spell.
Okay, well, there it is.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Lily... Voldemort did not break Lily's spell by using Harry's blood. But yes, I think the spell is contingent on Harry accepting. I think the ancient magic is more due to love and emotions than a physical location. I agree, Tim. I agree with that. The ancient magic is deeper than just the spell itself. The whole point is that that Voldemort did not break Lily's spell. He thought he did when he used Harry's blood. He thought that using Harry's blood would eradicate the protection that he has, but in fact it fortified it and made it stronger, because then he tethered Harry more closely to him. That's the whole point of why it was a bad thing that Voldemort used Harry's blood in book 4. Didn't break the spell. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
What was that?
The coffee pot.
Oh, okay.
Means that it's done keeping the coffee warm.
Oh, well, that's too bad. Oh, well, let me get some more actually. Before we
do you want to grab me some more?
Is this your cup? Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. All right.
Just top me off.
Which is why we get the awesome wand scene in the motorbike. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, exactly, Tim. There's a Tim and a Tom in this stream. That's tough for me.
And then the Phoenix Feather obviously plays a role in that too. I'm not sure if it was all the blood or if it was... Or no, because Voldemort doesn't use his wand. He uses Lucius's on the motorbike. So yeah, never mind. I just totally went off there.
What, in 7?
Yeah, because he uses Lucius's and destroys Lucius's wand.
Ooh, I almost put...
Oh yeah, please don't do that.
I almost, but I did. You're welcome.
Oh, Jackson, you got me good, bud. He got down and yeah.
We got you.
Yeah, he gripped.
Alright, here you go.
Thank you. I forgot my Christmas sweater. Well, while you start, I'm gonna go throw on my Christmas sweater.
Okay. 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 Sorry, needed more coffee.
Yeah, I feel like there should be. I don't know. I mean, I feel like there's got to be a plot hole somewhere.
There is no plot hole in the love magic protection.
Either way, let's look for a plot hole in this chapter.
Well, the Horcrux is part of it, but the same blood flowing in Voldemort's veins also further ties them together. Dumbledore explains this in Book 7, in the King's Cross chapter that we read. Oh! Dumbledore says... Here. Oh. Dumbledore says... Pull out my American version for a second. Dumbledore says...
Dumbledore says.
He's talking about the wand. Where's the part where he talks about his blood? And his knowledge remained woefully incomplete, Harry. That which Voldemort does not value, he takes no trouble to comprehend. Of house elves and children's tales of love, loyalty, and innocence, Voldemort knows and understands nothing. Nothing. They all have a power beyond his own, a power beyond the reach of any magic, is a truth that he has never grasped. He took your blood, believing it would strengthen him. He took into his body a tiny part of the enchantment your mother laid upon you when she died for you. His body keeps her sacrifice alive, and while that enchantment survives, so do you, and so does Voldemort's one last hope for himself.
Okay.
So, Voldemort taking Harry's blood didn't break the enchantment. It actually made the enchantment stronger.
And is the only reason Harry survived, right? When Voldemort kills him.
And the Horcrux, because Voldemort killed the Horcrux.
Well, yeah.
So it's like a double whammy.
So Voldemort taking in Harry's blood almost made Harry a Horcrux.
Harry was already a Horcrux.
Well, I mean, like, not made Harry into a Horcrux, like, made him his own Horcrux within Voldemort.
If it was the Horcrux, he wouldn't have been able to kill him in the forest. It's the love magic. Voldemort destroys the Horcrux inside of Harry, but kills Harry in the process. If it was just the Horcrux keeping Harry alive, Harry would not be dead. He would have just destroyed the Horcrux. Like, it's complicated, but it's not complicated. Do you know what I mean? Like, it makes sense.
Okay.
It makes sense. The Horcrux is not the reason why Harry is able to die and come back. It's the love magic protection.
Yeah, it's not that complicated. It's like Gordon Ramsay saying hollandaise sauce isn't that hard to make. To someone who's never made hollandaise.
Should we read this chapter?
Yeah, let's go.
All right. But I think Dumbledore explains it pretty straightforward right there about the blood magic. No, but I still have a bone to pick about how annoying you found Book 5. Well, Harry in Book 5. You did, right?
Yeah, I did.
I hear you, Tim. I love Harry in Book 5. I really relate to Harry in Book 5. I feel like Harry is very appropriate for how the books have gone in Book 5. Like, I like Harry in book 5.
Appropriate or not, got old. Like Harry, my God.
He's got PTSD. You're very much inside of his head. All right, we don't have to get into a Harry Potter book 5 discussion.
Maybe that's a discussion.
That's another stream. That's another time. But yeah, Tim, we're on the same page, Tim. Don't worry. Harry is great in book 5. It makes 100% sense why he is the way he is. And if anything,
I feel like that could just fall under an entire live stream, just talking about book 5 and Caps Lock Harry and the whole angsty thing and how justified or unjustified. I mean, I'm not gonna say that he wasn't unjustified in it. I just
find myself really feeling for Harry a lot in book 5. Like, I don't find him annoying, but I find myself just like feeling for him, and the pain that he's going through is just, it's agonizing. And then the end of the book is so goddamn sad. Oh, I've been holding back because I didn't want to change your stream. All right, let's start reading this chapter. Let's have Christmas time.
All right.
Shall we? We
shall.
Chime in if you want to. We need a stream on it. I have a lot to say. We could do a Caps Lock Harry stream. I'm down. We could discuss. We could do that sometime. But definitely want to debate later. All right. Well, let's read the chapter, and maybe some other discussions will be spurred.
Maybe we'll do like a Caps Lock Harry stream. We'll just do a plot hole stream.
All the plot holes and why they're not plot holes.
I will do my best to find a plot hole. We can just invite everyone else to, and you can just put us all down.
Fair enough.
All right.
Firebolt. All right. We could do a plot hole stream. A Caps Lock Harry stream and a plot hole stream. Okay. Noted. All right. Ready? Here we go. Let me sit in front of the thing. Chapter 11. The Firebolt. Harry didn't have a very clear idea of how he'd managed to get back into the Honeyduke cellar, through the tunnel and into the castle once more. All he knew was that the return trip seemed to take no time at all, and that he hardly noticed what he was doing, because his head was still pounding with the conversation he'd just heard. Why had nobody ever told him? Dumbledore, Hagrid, Mr. Weasley, Cornelius Fudge. Why hadn't anyone ever mentioned the fact that Harry's parents had died because their best friend had betrayed them? Ron and Hermione watched Harry nervously all through dinner, not daring to talk about what they'd overheard, because Percy was sitting close by them. When they went upstairs to the crowded common room, it was to find Fred and George had set off 6 dung bombs in a fit of end-of-term high spirits. Harry, who didn't want Fred and George asking him whether he'd reached Hogsmeade or not, sneaked quietly up to the empty dormitory and headed straight for his bedside cabinet. He pushed his books aside and quickly found what he was looking for. The leather-bound photo album Hagrid had given him 2 years ago, which was full of wizard pictures of his mother and father. He sat down on his bed, drew the hangings around him, and started turning the pages, searching until he stopped on a picture of his parents' wedding day. There was his father waving up at him, beaming, the untidy black hair Harry had inherited standing up in all directions. There was his mother, alight with happiness, arm in arm with his dad. And there. That must be him. Their best man. Harry had never given him a thought before. If he hadn't known it was the same person, he would have never guessed it was black in this old photograph. His face wasn't sunken and waxy, but handsome, full of laughter. Had he already been working for Voldemort when this picture had been taken? Was he already planning the deaths of the 2 people next to him? Did he realize he was facing 12 years in Azkaban, 12 years which would make him unrecognizable? But the Dementors don't affect him, Harry thought, staring into the handsome, laughing face. He doesn't have to hear my mum screaming if they get too close. Harry slammed the album shut, reached over and stuffed it back into his cabinet, took off his robes and glasses and got into bed, making sure the hangings were hiding him from view. The dormitory door opened. "Harry?" said Ron's voice uncertainly. But Harry lay still, pretending to be asleep. He heard Ron leave again and rolled over on his back, his eyes wide open. A hatred such as he'd never known before was coursing through Harry like poison. He could see Black laughing at him through the darkness, as though somebody had pasted the picture from the album over his eyes. He watched as though somebody was playing him a piece of film, Sirius Black blasting Peter Pettigrew, who resembled Neville Longbottom, into 1,000 pieces. He could hear, though he had no idea what Black's voice might sound like, a low, excited mutter. "It has happened, my lord. The Potters have made me their secret keeper." And then came another voice, laughing shrilly, the same laugh that Harry heard inside his head whenever the Dementors drew near. Bad look for Neville Longbottom.
That was the most insulting thing I've ever heard anyone say about Neville. That includes anything that Snape has ever said about him.
Awful. Harry, wow, dude.
Brutal.
Rude.
God, leave Neville alone.
Harry, you look terrible. Harry hadn't got to sleep until daybreak. He'd awoken to find the dormitory deserted, dressed and gone down the spiral staircase to a common room that was completely empty except for Ron, who was eating a peppermint toad and massaging his stomach, and Hermione, who had spread her homework over 3 tables. "Where is everyone?" said Harry. "Gone. It's the first day of the holidays, remember?" said Ron, watching Harry closely. "It's nearly lunchtime. I was going to come and wake you up in a minute." Harry slumped into a chair next to the fire. Snow was still falling outside the windows. Crookshanks were spread out in front of the fire like a large ginger rug. "You really don't look well, you know," said Hermione, peering anxiously into his face. "I'm fine," said Harry. "Harry, listen," said Hermione, exchanging a look with Ron. "You must be really upset about what we heard yesterday, but the thing is, you mustn't go doing anything stupid." "Like what?" said Harry. "Like trying to go after Black," said Ron sharply. Harry could tell they'd rehearsed this conversation while he had been asleep. He didn't say anything. "You won't, will you, Harry?" said Hermione. "Because Black's not worth dying for," said Ron. Harry looked at them. They didn't seem to understand at all. "Do you know what I see and hear every time a Dementor gets too near me?" Ron and Hermione shook their heads, looking apprehensive. "I can hear my mum screaming and pleading with Voldemort. And if you'd heard your mum screaming like that, just about to be killed, you wouldn't forget it in a hurry. And if you found out someone who was supposed to be a friend of hers betrayed her and sent Voldemort after her, there's nothing you can do," said Hermione, looking stricken. "The Dementors will catch Black and he'll go back to Azkaban and serve him right." "You heard what Fudge said. Black isn't affected by Azkaban like normal people are. It's not a punishment for him like it is for others." "So what are you saying?" said Ron, looking very tense. "You want to kill Black or something?" "Don't be silly," said Hermione in a panicky voice. "Harry doesn't want to kill anyone. Do you, Harry?" Again, Harry didn't answer. He didn't know what he wanted to do. All he knew was the idea of doing nothing while Black was at liberty was almost more than he could stand. "Malfoy knows," he said abruptly. "Remember what he said to me in Potions? If it was me, I'd hunt him down myself. I'd want revenge." "You're gonna take Malfoy's advice instead of ours?" said Ron furiously. "Listen, you know what Pettigrew's mother got back after Black finished with him. Dad told me. The Order of Merlin first class and Pettigrew's finger in a box. That was the biggest bit of him they could find. Black's a madman, Harry, and he's dangerous." "Malfoy's dad must have told him," said Harry, ignoring Ron. "He was right in Voldemort's inner circle." "Say you know who, will you?" interjected Ron angrily. "So obviously the Malfoys knew Black was working for Voldemort, and Malfoy'd love to see you blown into about 1,000,000 pieces, just like Pettigrew. Get a grip. Malfoy's just hoping you'll get yourself killed before he has to play you at Quidditch." "Harry, please," said Hermione, her eyes now shining with tears. "Please be sensible. Black did a terrible, terrible thing, but Don't put yourself in danger. It's what Black wants. Oh, Harry, you'd be playing right into Black's hands if you went looking for him. Your mum and dad wouldn't want you to get hurt, would they? They'd never want you to go looking for Black. So I thought this whole bit was a nice bit of foreshadowing, with Ron being the one to tell Harry, like, all they got was a finger back.
You know, I wanted to... That was an intense moment, so I didn't want to stop you when I heard it, but... what? Did they really send Peter's finger back to his mother? Like, that's... What? That's
presumably to, like, bury it or whatever, or do, you know, lay what they have left of him to rest.
I feel like that's worse. I wish they would just say there was nothing left. Like, alright, send a finger back. That's some, like, mob shit.
So I think this is interesting because Ron tells Harry about the finger and says his dad told him about it.
Mm-hmm.
And later Sirius says he found out because of the picture of the Weasleys in the Prophet.
Yeah.
So I just love that little bit of connection rolling, like laying it out and having it be Ron the one to tell Harry when it's kind of the Weasleys who, like, told Sirius.
Maybe Wormtail ended up with the Weasleys because he went looking for his finger. Mr. Weasley was the one who found it. He was like, oh, maybe he has it, so he went looking. And
I mean, I don't think Mr. Weasley was the one that found it. I don't think Mr. Weasley was there.
No?
Why would he be there? He's in the misuse of Muggle artifacts department. He's not an obliviator or a damage control guy.
There was a lot of... I mean, now he is, but who knows what department he started in. Maybe he was an intern and had to, you know, tag along in some of those.
He would have been,
or maybe he had to, you know, inventory the evidence, working in, like, the mail room or something.
I don't know.
I'm just saying.
I don't know. But either way, I just think it's very cool how Harry finds out from Ron. Sirius also kind of found out from the Weasleys too. Nice little touch, JK. Very clever. I'll never know what they would have wanted because thanks to Black, I've never spoken to them, said Harry shortly. There was a silence in which Crookshanks stretched luxuriously, flexing his claws. Ron's pocket quivered. Look, said Ron, obviously casting around for a change of subject. It's the holidays. It's nearly Christmas. Let's go down and see Hagrid. We haven't visited him for ages. No, said Hermione quickly. Harry isn't supposed to leave the castle, Ron. Yeah, let's go, said Harry, sitting up. And I can ask him how come he never mentioned Black when he told me all about my parents. Further discussion of Sirius Black plainly wasn't what Ron had in mind. I love just these little mentions of Crookshanks and Scabbers.
That's like sprinkled throughout this entire book.
I love it. It's great. Crookshanks is just relaxing, and Scabbers is just in Ron's pocket, probably freaking out. Like,
well, Crookshanks knows.
I wonder if Crookshanks is, like, laying there doing recon for Sirius right now. You know, like, he's gonna report later on this.
Well, yeah, it's pretty close to this chapter that Harry sees Crookshanks, like, and the dog, right? Maybe not
walking
Crookshanks,
together.
But yeah.
Or we could have a game of chess, he said hastily. Or gobstones. Percy left a set. No, let's go visit Hagrid, said Harry firmly. So they got their cloaks from the dormitories and set off through the portrait hall. Stand and fight, you yellow-bellied mongrels! Down through the empty castle and out through the oak front doors. They made their way slowly down the lawn, making a shallow trench in the glittering powdery snow, their socks and the hems of their cloaks soaked in freezing. The forbidden forest looked as though it had been enchanted, each tree smattered with silver, and Hagrid's cabin looked like an ice cake. What a lovely image.
Right. Little gingerbread house.
Also, love that she chose to say that each tree looked like it was smattered in silver, just like in book 1 where the trees were like spattered with the silver blood of the unicorns.
Yeah.
Nice
I
callback there, JK.
I'm inspired now. I want to make a gingerbread house that looks like Hagrid's hut.
Do it. Sounds awesome.
It's almost Christmas. I won't have time left.
Ron knocked, but there was no answer. "He's not out, is he?" said Hermione, who was shivering under her cloak. Ron had his ear to the door. "There's a weird noise," he said. "Listen. Is that Fang?" Harry and Hermione put their ears to the door too. From inside the cabin came a series of low, throbbing moans. "Think we better go and get someone?" said Ron nervously. "Hagrid!" called Harry, thumping the door. "Hagrid, are you in there?" There was a sound of heavy footsteps, then the door creaked open. Hagrid stood there with his eyes red and swollen, tears splashing down the front of his leather waistcoat. "You've heard!" he bellowed, and he flung himself onto Harry's neck. Hagrid being at least twice the size of a normal man, this was no laughing matter. Harry was about to collapse under Hagrid's weight, was rescued by Ron and Hermione, who each seized Hagrid under an arm and heaved him, Harry helping, back into the cabin. Hagrid allowed himself to be steered into a chair and slumped over the table, sobbing uncontrollably, his face glazed with tears which dripped down into his tangled beard. "Hagrid, what is it?" said Hermione aghast. Harry spotted an official-looking letter lying open on the table. "What's this, Hagrid?" Hagrid's sobs redoubled, but he shoved the letter toward Harry, who picked it up and read aloud. "Dear Mr. Hagrid, further to our inquiry into the attack by a hippogriff on a student in your class, we've accepted the assurances of Professor Dumbledore that you bear no responsibility for the regrettable incident.
However...
Well, that's okay then, Hagrid," said Ron, clapping Hagrid on the shoulder. But Hagrid continued to sob and waved one of his gigantic hands, inviting Harry to read on. "However, we must register our concern about the hippogriff in question. We've decided to uphold the official complaint of Mr. Lucius Malfoy, and this matter will therefore be taken to the Committee for the Disposal of Dangerous Creatures. The hearing will take place on April 20th, and we ask you to present yourself and your hippogriff at the committee's offices in London on that date. In the meantime, the hippogriff should be kept tethered and isolated. Yours in fellowship." There followed a list of the school governors. "Oh," said Ron. "But you said Buckbeak isn't a bad hippogriff, Hagrid. I bet he'll get off." "You don't know them gargoyles at the Committee for the Disposal of Dangerous Creatures," choked Hagrid, wiping his eyes on his sleeve. "They've got it in for interesting creatures." A sudden sound from the corner of Hagrid's cabin made Harry, Ron and Hermione whip round. Buckbeak the hippogriff was lying in the corner, chomping on something that was oozing blood all over the floor. "I couldn't leave him tied up out there in the snow," choked Hagrid. "All on his own. At Christmas." Harry, Ron and Hermione looked at each other. They had never seen eye to eye with Hagrid about what he called interesting creatures and other people called terrifying monsters. On the other hand, there didn't seem to be any particular harm in Buckbeak. In fact, by Hagrid's usual standards, he was positively cute. "You'll have to put up a good strong defence, Hagrid," said Hermione, sitting down and laying a hand on Hagrid's massive forearm. "I'm sure you can prove Buckbeak is safe." "Won't make no difference," sobbed Hagrid. "Them disposal devils, they're all in Lucius Malfoy's pocket, scared of him. And if I lose the case, Buckbeak..." Hagrid drew his fingers swiftly across his throat, then gave a great wail and lurched forward, his face in his arms. "What about Dumbledore, Hagrid?" said Harry. "He's gone and done more'n enough for me already," groaned Hagrid. "Got enough on his plate, what with keeping them Dementors out of the castle and Sirius Black lurking round." Ron and Hermione looked quickly at Harry, as though expecting him to start berating Hagrid for not telling him the truth about Black. But Harry couldn't bring himself to do it. Now, not now he saw Hagrid so miserable and scared. "Listen, Hagrid," he said. "You can't give up. Hermione's right. You just need a good defence. You can call us all as witnesses." "I'm sure I've read about a case of hippogriff baiting," said Hermione thoughtfully, "where the hippogriff got off. I'll look it up for you, Hagrid, and see exactly what happened." Hagrid howled still more loudly. Harry and Hermione looked at Ron to help them. Shall I make a cup of tea?" said Ron. Harry stared at him. "It's what my mum does whenever someone's upset," Ron muttered, shrugging. At last, after many more assurances of help, with a steaming mug of tea in front of him, Hagrid blew his nose on a handkerchief the size of a tablecloth and said, "You're right. I can't afford to go to pieces. Got to pull myself together." Fang the boarhound came timidly out from under the table and laid his head on Hagrid's knee. "I've not been myself lately," said Hagrid, stroking Fang with one hand and mopping his face with the other. "Worried about Buckbeak and no one liking me classes." "We do like them," lied Hermione at once. "Yeah, they're great," said Ron, crossing his fingers under the table. How are the flobberworms?" "Dead," said Hagrid gloomily. "Too much lettuce." "Oh, no," said Ron, his lip twitching. "And them Dementors make me feel ruddy terrible and all," said Hagrid with a sudden shudder. "Gotta walk past 'em every time I want a drink in the Three Broomsticks. It's like being back in Azkaban." He fell silent, gulping his tea. Harry, Ron and Hermione watched him breathlessly. They'd never heard Hagrid talk about his brief spell in Azkaban before. After a brief pause, Hermione said timidly, "Is it awful in there, Hagrid?" "You've no idea," said Hagrid quietly. "Never been anywhere like it. Thought I was going mad. Kept going over horrible stuff in me mind. The day I got expelled from Hogwarts. Day me dad died. Day I had to let Norbert go." His eyes filled with tears. Norbert was the baby dragon Hagrid had once won in a game of cards. You can't really remember who you are after a while, and you can't see the point of living at all. I used to hope to just die in me sleep. When they let me out, it was like being born again. Everything came flooding back. It was the best feeling in the world. Mind the Dementors weren't keen on letting me go." "But you were innocent," said Hermione. Hagrid snorted. "Think that matters to them? They don't care. Long as they got a couple of 100 humans stuck there with them so they can leech all the happiness out of them, they don't give a damn who's guilty and who's not." I highlighted this just because Hagrid, who, goes into the Forbidden Forest all the time and deals with crazy monster creatures and by all accounts is a pretty strong, pretty brave dude.
Yeah.
Fell apart in Azkaban. And I think it just highlights just how extraordinary how Sirius was able to keep his shit together.
Well, I mean, we know because they don't affect animals.
But by the same token, then I think you could also take this and then jump way further ahead into, say, book 5, and you can understand why Sirius is having a really fucking hard time.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
I mean, he spent 12 years.
12 years in there.
Yeah.
Like, and he couldn't be a dog all the time.
Why not?
Because people would come and visit and stuff. They gotta feed you and
true.
stuff. You know what I mean? Like, he couldn't be a dog all the time. He'd have to be a person.
Yeah, but
here and there.
Who's visiting Sirius Black?
Cornelius Fudge.
Other than Cornelius Fudge. And how often does he visit?
That Ringer podcast I listen to, they call him Corn Fudge.
Corn Fudge?
Yeah.
Alright. Well, there it is.
Our guy Corn Fudge. That's what they say.
Corny Fudges.
Corny Fudge. But I mean, for a dude like Hagrid to be so shaken like that.
Well, I mean, at the same time, I mean, we know Hagrid is physically tough, but We do know that Hagrid is also very sensitive when it comes to emotions.
Yeah, he is.
Not using that as like a negative towards Hagrid, but the
Dementors probably loved him.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
We do know that, it's very easy to get Hagrid emotional. I mean, how many times do they walk in and he's in tears?
That's true. It does happen a lot,
Yeah.
doesn't it?
That's what I mean. It's like once a book at least.
But it's just a nice little description for the and it also kind of brings it back that the Azkaban thing that they set up in book 2 was a direct setup for book 3.
Yeah.
Um
We give you a little peek inside what's going down in Azkaban.
right.
What Sirius is going through without some, boring narrative of Sirius just, telling you the story.
Right. It's a creative way to kind of let the reader know, like,
it all started 11 years ago. Flashback.
12 years ago.
12 years. Yeah, okay.
Hagrid went quiet for a moment, staring into his tea. Then he said quietly, "Thought of just letting Buckbeak go, trying to make him fly away. But how do you explain to a hippogriff it's got to go into hiding? And I'm scared of breaking the law." He looked up at them, tears leaking down his face again. "I don't ever want to go back to Azkaban." Kind of mirroring Sirius there. Like, yeah, no, I'm not going back either. Like, The trip to Hagrid's, though far from fun, had nevertheless had the effect Ron and Hermione had hoped. Though Harry had by no means forgotten about Black, he couldn't brood constantly on revenge if he wanted to help Hagrid win his case against the Committee for the Disposal of Dangerous Creatures. He, Ron and Hermione went to the library the next day and returned to the empty common room laden with books which might help prepare a defence for Buckbeak. The three of them sat in front of the roaring fire, slowly turning the pages of dusty volumes about famous cases of marauding beasts, speaking occasionally when they ran across something relevant. Wow. Marauding beasts really rolling? Wow. Way to drop a little clue there.
Yeah.
Love when she does.
That's one of those you come back and reread it and it's pretty obvious.
Marauding beasts. Ah, so good. Love that. Oh my god. Ah, that's so cool. All right. Here's something. There was a case in 1722, but the hippogriff was convicted. Ugh, look what they did to it. That's disgusting. This might help. Look, a manticore savaged someone in 1296, and they let the manticore off. Oh no, that's only because everyone was too scared to go near it. Meanwhile, in the rest of the castle, the usual magnificent Christmas decorations had been put up, despite the fact that hardly any of the students remained to enjoy them. Thick streamers of holly and mistletoe were strung along the corridors, mysterious lights shone from inside every suit of armour, and the great hall was filled with its usual 12 Christmas trees, glittering with golden stars. A powerful and delicious smell of cooking pervaded the corridors, and by Christmas Eve it had grown so strong that even Scabbers poked his nose out of the shelter of Ron's pocket to sniff hopefully at the air. On Christmas morning, Harry was woken by Ron throwing his pillow at him. "Oi! Presents!" Harry reached for his glasses and put them on, squinting through the semi-darkness to the foot of his bed, where a small heap of parcels had appeared. Ron was already ripping the wrapper off his own presents. "Another jumper from Mum. Maroon again. See if you've got one." Harry had. Mrs. Weasley had sent him a scarlet jumper with the Gryffindor lion knitted on the front, also a dozen home-baked mince pies, some Christmas cake, and a box of nut brittle. As he moved all these things aside, he saw a long, thin package lying underneath. "What's that?" said Ron, looking over, a freshly unwrapped pair of maroon socks in his hand. "Dunno." Harry ripped the parcel open and gasped as a magnificent gleaming broomstick rolled out onto his bedspread. "I don't know. What else could it be? It's a long, thick package in the shape of a broom. What else do you think it's going to be, guys? Jeez." Ron dropped his socks and jumped off his bed for a closer look. I don't believe it, he said hoarsely. It was a firebolt, identical to the dream broom Harry had gone to see every day in Diagon Alley. Its handle glittered as he picked it up. He could feel it vibrating and let go. It hung in mid-air, unsupported, at exactly the right height for him to mount it. His eyes moved from the golden registration number at the top of the handle right down to the perfectly smooth, streamlined birch twigs that made up the tail. "Who sent it to you?" said Ron in a hushed voice. "Look and see if there's a card," said Harry. Ron ripped apart the firebolt's wrappings. "Nothing! Blimey, who'd spend that much on you?" "Well," said Harry, feeling stunned, "I'm betting it wasn't the Dursleys." "I bet it was Dumbledore," said Ron, now walking round and round the firebolt, taking in every glorious inch. "He sent you the invisibility cloak anonymously." "That was my dad's, though," said Harry. "Dumbledore was just passing it on to me. He wouldn't spend hundreds of galleons on me. He can't go giving students stuff like that." "That's why he wouldn't say it was from him," said Ron, "in case some git like Malfoy said it was favoritism. Hey, Harry!" Ron gave a great whoop of laughter. "Malfoy! Wait till he sees you on this. He'll be sick as a pig. This is an international standard broom, this is."
That brings up a question. How loaded is Dumbledore? It's never mentioned. I know he doesn't really come from like a rich family, but he's got to be paid pretty well to be head of Hogwarts.
Couple of points here about this. Number one, socks. Ron got socks. There's like always something with socks at Christmas time.
Dumbledore would be envious.
Dumbledore, then the Dursleys give Harry a pair of socks. Ron got socks this year, and then in fourth year, Dobby with the socks. Like, socks is like a running theme with the Christmas time.
It's a stereotype though. Like once you turn 18, like all you get for Christmas is socks and underwear.
Right.
And then once you turn 25, you start to appreciate it.
Yeah, you're like, ooh, now I don't have to buy socks this year. Nice. I also thought
Cinchin. Merry Christmas Eve and welcome.
I also think it's very funny that Harry is like, Dumbledore wouldn't spend hundreds of galleons on me. That's showing favoritism. But McGonagall will, without a problem.
Yeah.
She totally was like, I bought you a Nimbus 2000. You're welcome. Like, if Snape only knew.
Yeah.
Because McGonagall's always talking about, oh, that one year we lost, I couldn't look Severus Snape in the face for these. Like, there's a rivalry going on. If Snape found out, McGonagall bought Harry a broom.
Do you think Snape didn't know?
How would he know who got Harry the broom?
He knows Harry. Well, I guess Harry probably could have bought it, but I don't know.
Yeah, how is he gonna find out that McGonagall bought it? Like, Harry's not gonna tell him. Ron's not gonna tell him. Like,
okay. Yeah.
And if Dumbledore knew, Dumbledore's not gonna tell him.
McGonagall and her gambling addiction.
McGallion. McGonagall. That's what they call her in the podcast. Minerva McGallion McGonagall, hedging her bets.
Maybe that should be our fandom name. # Marauding Beasts. I like it.
Marauding Beasts. I like it. I'm down. The Marauding Beasts.
Hogwarts had a student fund. McGonagall probably used that.
Wow.
That's even worse.
That's way worse, because Dumbledore's going to be, like, looking at it like, okay, all the students who need spell books. Oh my god, where did all the money go?
I'm sorry, kids. We couldn't afford books for you this year.
I'm sorry, you can't buy school robes this year because rich and famous Harry Potter had to have a broomstick. Like,
McGonagall, don't worry. After the first few games, I'll pay it off. Trust me, we're not gonna lose.
It's fine. It's fine. I'll get you the money back, Dumby. It'll be good. I took 32 to 1 odds. Ludo Bagman. It's gonna be great. It's fine.
I mean, well, knowing how that goes, she probably won.
I mean, Yeah. There's a reason why Oliver Wood is the way he is.
Yeah.
McGonagall. She created that monster. And remember in book 5 when she yells at Wood because Wood says something to the effect of or is it in this book?
I don't think he's there in 5.
No, he's not there in 5. Yeah, he leaves in 5. There's one of the books where he gets yelled at because he says something like no, it's got to be this book. He doesn't. What he basically says like, no, it is this book, because he.
What does he say?
He demands that he gets the Firebolt back. He like freaks out because McGonagall took the Firebolt, and he's like, I don't. As long as he catches the snitch, who cares if he falls off of it? As long as we win.
That's right.
He's like, yeah, it's this book, because he freaks out because she took the broom, because he finds out he got a Firebolt and then that she took it, and he like loses his mind. And it's like, well, you kind of did that to yourself, McGonagall, I think, you know. And the fact that, so this is an international standard broom. Ron says this is an international standard broom. And then when Harry is in Diagon Alley, like earlier in the book, he overhears that the Ireland team has already ordered these. Mm. Total setup for book 4.
Well, yeah, everyone's using the Firebolt in book 4.
But it's
during the Quidditch World Cup.
But she plants the seed right there. Oh. I heard Ireland has already special ordered these.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then here, it's an international standard broom, blah, blah, blah.
After Christmas, he needs to order a new broom for quality Quidditch supplies. Okay.
Yeah. He like, freaks out. Yeah. I can't believe this, Harry muttered, running a hand along the firebolt while Ron sank into Harry's bed, laughing his head off at the thought of Malfoy. Who? I know, said Ron, controlling himself. I know who it could have been. Lupin. What? Said Harry, now starting to laugh himself. Lupin?
Robes.
Listen, if he had this much gold, he'd be able to buy himself some new robes. Yeah, but he likes you, said Ron. And he was away when your Nimbus got smashed, and he might have heard about it and decided to visit Diagon Alley and get this for you. What do you mean he was away? Said Harry. He was ill when I was playing in that match. Well, he wasn't in the hospital wing, said Ron. I was there cleaning out the bedpans on that detention from Snape, remember? Harry frowned at Ron. I can't see Lupin affording something like this. What are you two laughing about? Ron, so close with the Lupin guess. So close.
I know.
Almost got it, bud.
I was right there with you, Ron, the whole time. It's gotta be Lupin. Lupin. Yep.
Hermione had just come in wearing her dressing gown and carrying Crookshanks, who was looking very grumpy with a string of tinsel tied round his neck. Poor Crookshanks. Don't bring him in here, said Ron, hurriedly snatching Scabbers from the depths of his bed and stowing him in his pyjama pocket. But Hermione wasn't listening. She dropped Crookshanks onto Seamus's empty bed and stared, open-mouthed, at the firebolt. Oh, Harry! Who sent you that? No idea, said Harry. There wasn't a card or anything with it. To his great surprise, Hermione didn't appear either excited or intrigued by this news. On the contrary, her face fell and she bit her lip. What's the matter with you? Said Ron. I don't know, said Hermione slowly. But it's a bit odd, isn't it? I mean, this is supposed to be quite a good broom, isn't it? Ron sighed exasperatedly. It's the best broom there is, Hermione, he said. So it must have been really expensive. Probably cost more than all the Slytherin brooms put together, said Ron happily. Well, who'd send Harry something as expensive as that and not even tell him they'd sent it? Said Hermione. Who cares? Said Ron impatiently. Listen, Harry, can I have a go on it? Can I? I don't think anyone should ride that broom just yet, said Hermione shrilly. Harry and Ron looked at her. What do you think Harry's going to do with it? Sweep the floor? Said Ron. But before Hermione could answer, Crookshanks sprang from Seamus's bed right at Ron's chest. Get him out of here! Ron bellowed as Crookshanks's claws ripped his pyjamas and Scabbers attempted a wild escape over his shoulder. Ron seized Scabbers by the tail and aimed a misjudged kick at Crookshanks, which hit the trunk at the end of Harry's bed, knocking it over and causing Ron to hop on the spot, howling with pain. Crookshanks's fur suddenly stood on end. A shrill, tinny whistling was filling the room. The pocket sneakoscope had become dislodged from Uncle Vernon's old socks and was whirling and gleaming on the floor. I forgot about that, said Harry, bending down and picking up the sneakoscope. I never wear these socks if I can help it. The sneakoscope whirled and whistled in his palm. Crookshanks was hissing and spitting at it. You better get that cat out of here, Hermione, said Ron furiously. He was sitting on Harry's bed, nursing his toe. Can't you shut that thing up? He added to Harry, as Hermione strode out of the room, Crookshanks's yellow eyes still fixed maliciously on Ron. Harry stuffed the sneakoscope back inside the socks and threw it back into his trunk. All that could be heard now was Ron's stifled moans of pain and rage. Scabbers was huddled in Ron's hands. It had been a while since Harry had seen him out of Ron's pocket, and he was unpleasantly surprised to see that Scabbers, once so fat, was now very skinny. Patches of fur seemed to have fallen out too. He's not looking too good, is he? Said Harry. It's stress, said Ron. He'd be fine if that great stupid furball left him alone. But Harry, remembering what the woman at the magical menagerie had said about rats only living 3 years, couldn't help feeling that unless Scabbers had powers he had never revealed, he was reaching the end of his life. And despite Ron's frequent complaints that Scabbers was both boring and useless, he was sure Ron would be very miserable if Scabbers died. That's so good.
I don't even know what to say about that whole thing.
If Scabbers had powers that we didn't know about. Oh, but he does. Oh, but he does.
The creepiest of all powers.
Christmas spirit was definitely thin on the ground in the Gryffindor common room that morning. Hermione had shut Crookshanks in her dormitory, but was furious with Ron for trying to kick him. Ron was still fuming about Crookshanks's fresh attempt to eat Scabbers. Harry gave up trying to make them talk to each other and devoted himself to examining the firebolt, which he'd brought down to the common room with him. For some reason, this seemed to annoy Hermione as well. She didn't say anything, but she kept looking darkly at the broom, as though it too had been criticizing her cat. At lunchtime, they went down to the Great Hall to find that the house tables had been moved against the walls again, and that a single table, set for 12, stood in the middle of the room. Professors Dumbledore, McGonagall, Snape, Sprout, and Flitwick were there, along with Filch, the caretaker, who had taken off his usual brown coat and was wearing a very old and rather mouldy-looking tailcoat. There were only 3 other students, 2 extremely nervous-looking first-years, and a sullen-faced Slytherin 5th year. "Merry Christmas," said Dumbledore, as Harry, Ron, and Hermione approached the table. "As there are so few of us, it seems foolish to use the house tables. Sit down, sit down." Harry, Ron, and Hermione sat down side by side at the end of the table. Let's see, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we've got 6. So we've already got 12. "Crackers," said Dumbledore enthusiastically, offering the end of a large silver one to Snape, who took it reluctantly and tugged. With a bang like a gunshot, the cracker flew apart to reveal a large pointed witch's hat, topped with a stuffed vulture. Harry, remembering the boggart, caught Ron's eye and they both grinned. Snape's mouth thinned, and he pushed the hat towards Dumbledore, who swapped it for his wizard's hat at once.
I still say it would have been so great to see Neville's grandmother running around in that hat at the Battle of Hogwarts.
Right.
She should have been there.
She should have been there.
Let me show you how it's done, Neville.
I just love that Dumbledore is all about it.
Right.
Like, Dumbledore is like...
Gotta line up, Snape.
Right?
Whether you like it or not.
Yeah, take a joke, my man. Like, that was funny. And Snape's just like... Dumbledore. What a sass pants. Loving it. I just love his relationship with Snape. When you go back and you reread everything, and then you get moments like this, and you're just like, this is great.
Never understood why no one suspected Crookshanks as an animagus. Well, before this, you don't know what an animagus is, but I think I guessed that. Like,
you thought he was
like,
at one point.
Is it like a wizard who was transformed into a cat's body or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
Like when we first read it, I think that was one of my theories. I had like no real backup for it,
But then when you found out what Animagi were, you were like, is Crookshanks one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially when you see Sirius and Crookshanks like walking together, you were like kind of on that.
Yeah.
For a while. Tuck in, he advised the table, beaming around. As Harry was helping himself to roast potatoes, the door of the great hall opened again. It was Professor Trelawney, gliding towards them as though on wheels. She had put on a green sequin dress in honour of the occasion, making her look more than ever like a glittering, oversized dragonfly. "Sybil, this is a pleasant surprise," said Dumbledore, standing up. "I have been crystal-gazing, Headmaster," said Professor Trelawney in her mistiest, most far-away voice. "And to my astonishment, I saw myself abandoning my solitary luncheon and coming to join you. Who am I to refuse the promptings of fate? I at once hastened from my tower, and I do beg you to forgive my lateness." "Certainly, certainly," said Dumbledore, his eyes twinkling. "Let me draw you up a chair." And he did indeed draw a chair in mid-air with his wand, which revolved for a few seconds before falling with a thud between Professors Snape and McGonagall. Professor Trelawney, however, did not sit down. Her enormous eyes had been roving round the table, and she suddenly uttered a kind of soft scream. "I dare not, Headmaster. If I join the table, we shall be 13. Nothing could be more unlucky. Never forget that when 13 dine together, the first to rise will be the first to die." "We'll risk it, Sybil," said Professor McGonagall impatiently. "Do sit down, the turkey's getting stone cold." Professor Trelawney hesitated, then lowered herself into the empty chair, her eyes shut and mouth clenched tight, as though expecting a thunderbolt to hit the table. Professor McGonagall poked a large spoon into the nearest tureen. "Tripe, Sybil." Professor Trelawney ignored her. Eyes open again, she looked round once more and said, "But where is dear Professor Lupin?" "I am afraid the poor fellow is ill again," said Dumbledore, indicating that everybody should start serving themselves. "Most unfortunate that it should happen on Christmas Day." "But surely you already knew that, Sybil," said Professor McGonagall, her eyebrows raised. Professor Trelawney gave Professor McGonagall a very cold look. "Certainly I knew, Minerva," she said quietly, "but one does not parade the fact that one is all-knowing. I frequently act as though I am not possessed of the inner eye, so as not to make others nervous."
Yes, that's why she acts like she doesn't possess the inner eye.
"That explains a great deal," said Professor McGonagall tartly. Professor Trelawney's voice suddenly became a good deal less misty. "If you must know, Minerva, I have seen that poor Professor Lupin will not be with us for very long. He seems aware himself that his time is short. He positively fled when I offered to crystal gaze for him." "Imagine that," said Professor McGonagall dryly.
Another instance of where she's actually right.
She's actually right. Like, every time she just says shit, she's like, everyone's like, yeah, okay, whatever. But she's right.
Yeah. It's funny going back through and realizing, no, Trelawney actually can see the future.
So
but no one understands.
the thing about when 13 dying together, the first to rise is the first to die. So in Order of the Phoenix, everyone sits down to dinner at one point, and there's 13 of them, and the first one to get up is Lupin.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And guess what?
Yeah.
So she's right again.
But he wasn't the first to die. Sirius died first.
No, it says the first to rise will die.
I thought it was. Oh, okay. I
Like
thought it said the first to rise is the first to die.
No, the when 13 died together.
I mean, to be fair, like 90% of those people died. So. Oh, maybe not 90%. It was Tonks, Lupin, Sirius, Dumbledore.
What? What are you talking about?
I said, to be fair, in Order of the Phoenix, like, most of those people die.
Right, Sirius did die before Lupin, but it's not it's not the first to rise is the first to die. The first to rise will die, and Lupin gets up from the table first. But just happens way later.
I'm just saying, like, a lot of them die, so it's not quite as...
But it just is
if it was the first to rise or the first to die, and Sirius rose and he was the first to die, then yeah, it would.
I'm just saying, it's a nice little callback to when she says this here. Because Lupin does get up, and then later he does kick it. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. And then this whole thing where Lupin won't be with us for much longer. Like, she's always right. Just like Snape is always right about Harry. It's kind of the same thing.
The green thing over my right shoulder, that's a little dinosaur.
He's a little Christmas dinosaur. He's a little Christmas T-Rex.
He's got like a short cord, so I can't like turn him. But there, actually I can.
There you go. Hideout, said Dumbledore in a cheerful but slightly raised voice, which put an end to Professor McGonagall and Professor Trelawney's conversation. The Professor Lupin is in any immediate danger. Severus, you've made the potion for him again? Yes, Headmaster, said Snape. Good, said Dumbledore. Then he should be back up and about in no time. Derek, have you had any of these chipolatas? They're excellent. The first-year boy went furiously red on being addressed directly by Dumbledore and took the platter of sausages with trembling hands. Professor Trelawney behaved almost normally until the end of Christmas dinner 2 hours later. Full to bursting with Christmas dinner and still wearing their cracker hats, Harry and Ron got up first from the table and she shrieked loudly, My dears! Which of you left his seat first? Which? Dunno, said Ron, looking uneasily at Harry. I doubt it'll make much difference, said Professor McGonagall coldly. Unless a mad axeman is waiting outside the doors to slaughter the first into the entrance hall. Even Ron laughed. Professor Trelawney looked highly affronted. Coming? Harry said to Hermione. No, Hermione muttered. I want a quick word with Professor McGonagall. Again, back to the 13 dining. Harry and Ron get up, but it's not clear who got up first.
I can only assume it was Harry.
But there was a time where Rowling was contemplating killing off Ron.
Oh.
But she doesn't, so in this case, Harry definitely got up first.
Why kill off Ron?
She was thinking about it. Because she wanted to really hurt Harry, I guess. Very badly.
I guess so. Hurt Hermione.
Yes, and hurt Hermione.
I see why she didn't. Like, that would have made no sense, really, for the story. I feel like it would have just been, like, a pointless death for Ron to die.
The whole story would have had to have been totally different.
Yeah.
It would have, yeah. Probably trying to see if she can take any more classes, yawned Ron as they made their way back into the entrance hall, which was completely devoid of mad axemen. When they reached the portrait hall, they found Sir Cadogan enjoying a Christmas party with a couple of monks, several previous headmasters of Hogwarts, and his fat pony. He pushed up his visor and toasted them with a flagon of mead.
Merry Christmas, Bosworth.
Scurvy cur, said Ron.
And the same to you, sir,
roared Sir Cadogan as the painting swerved forward to admit them. Harry went straight up to the dormitory, collected his firebolt and the broomstick servicing kit Hermione had given him for his birthday, brought them downstairs and tried to find something to do to the firebolt. However, there were no bent twigs to clip, and the handle was so shiny already it seemed pointless to polish it. He and Ron simply sat admiring it from every angle until the portrait hole opened and Hermione came in, accompanied by Professor McGonagall. Though Professor McGonagall was head of Gryffindor House, Harry had only seen her in the common room once before, and that had been to make a very grave announcement. He and Ron stared at her, both holding the firebolt. Hermione walked round them, sat down, picked up the nearest book, and hid her face behind it. "So that's it, is it?" said Professor McGonagall beadily, walking over to the fireside and staring at the firebolt. "Miss Granger just informed me that you've been sent a broomstick, Potter." Harry and Ron looked round at Hermione. They could see her forehead reddening over the top of her book, which was upside down. "May I?" asked Professor McGonagall, but she didn't wait for an answer before pulling the firebolt out of their hands. She examined it carefully from handle to twig ends. And there was no note at all, Potter? No card? No message of any kind?" "No," said Harry blankly. "I see," said Professor McGonagall. "Well, I'm afraid I will have to take this, Potter." What? said Harry, scrambling to his feet. "Why?" "It will need to be checked for jinxes," said Professor McGonagall. "Of course, I'm no expert, but I dare say Madam Hooch and Professor Flitwick will strip it down." "Strip it down?" repeated Ron, as though Professor McGonagall were mad. Oh. There we go. "It shouldn't take more than a few weeks," said Professor McGonagall. "You will have it back if we are sure it is jinx-free." "There's nothing wrong with it," said Harry, his voice shaking slightly. "Honestly, Professor—" "You can't know that, Potter," said Professor McGonagall quite kindly. "Not until you've flown it, at any rate, and I'm afraid that it is out of the question until we are certain that it has not been tampered with. I shall keep you informed." Professor McGonagall turned on her heel and carried the firebolt out of the portrait hole, which closed behind her. Harry stood staring after her, the tin of high-finish polish still clutched in his hands. Ron, however, rounded on Hermione. "What did you go running to McGonagall for?" Hermione threw her book aside. She was still pink in the face, but stood up and faced Ron defiantly. "Because I thought, and Professor McGonagall agrees with me, that broom was probably sent to Harry by Sirius Black."
Another case where Hermione is right. Darn her.
It sucks, but Hermione is thinking the most logically, and
she's right.
And she is right. She is right. But you know,
one thing I don't believe Harry, who is obsessed with Quidditch and is in love with this broom, would not instantly jump on that broom and fly it.
Where is he gonna?
Like, to say that he didn't fly it, knowing Harry, he probably would have jumped out the window with it. Like, I don't know. Just in my mind, Harry would have gotten that broom and would have been like, "We can be late to breakfast. It's okay. I'm just gonna take it for a spin around the castle." Probably what I would have done, at least.
Maybe if it wasn't wintertime, because like maybe if it was not like, let's get on our boots and our coats and our cloaks and our everything else.
Yeah, that's true. Another 2 cents. Before long, Sirius indeed came to Ron with a dagger. Remember, it was close enough.
Why do you read the chapters in a British accent if you're reading the American editions of the books?
Do you want to answer that? Do you remember why?
You can Explain.
Oh, okay. So it all started just kind of as a bet because you said that it was more appropriate that you read it in a British accent. Well, you were just gonna do the characters in a British accent, and I said, "Why don't you just do the whole thing in a British accent?" Like, well, okay, I'll try it. And then you started reading it in a British accent, and you were just really good at it, and it just kind of continued from there.
Yep. And
now it's just kind of like
it's just how we do it now.
a thing, yeah.
It's how we roll.
Like, can you read without doing a British accent now? I feel like it'd be weird. Everything you read is always in a British accent.
I know. Well, Game of Thrones was like appropriate too.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't read Of Mice and Men in a British accent.
That's true.
Although they never got to hear it because it's not
the copyright
domain.
strikes and everything, yeah. Which sucks because it was actually done. But yeah.
We could... I still think we might be able to get away with it on Patreon, but...
Maybe.
But yeah, that is why I read in my British accent to the best of my ability. I know it's not perfect, and I'm sure there are better ways to do it.
It all started out as a bet, or a dare, I guess.
Yeah, it was kind of like a dare, like, can you do it?
Yeah.
Oh, look at the Bobans.
And then it went from there.
Here's the Bobans. Hang on. Sorry.
You guys say hi to
Hi
it.
to Bobans. Hi to Bobans. Hi to Bobans. Hi to Bobans. Yeah, so that is chapter 11, the Firebolt.
I mean, it's pretty great.
It's a Christmas chapter, but it's not a Christmas chapter at the same time.
I think it highlights a lot of the points for characters that just make them so great. Like Dumbledore with the hat. And then you have not Pomfrey, the divination teacher.
Trelawney and McGonagall.
Just being Trelawney.
Oh, and McGonagall is so good.
I know.
He's so funny. She just can't handle it. She's like, I can't deal with this woman. I can't do it. She's gotta be snarky and sarcastic, like, at every opportunity.
I would 100%. Maybe Minerva has an issue with her because somehow she keeps, like, betting correctly. Maybe she has a betting problem too.
Maybe Trelawney gave her a bad tip, and McGonagall lost a lot of money.
Maybe
that's the problem. It's like, I saw in my crystal ball, you should bet on this, and maybe she lost like a lot of money.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why she hates her. Could be.
We're gonna go with that. Trelawney gave her a bad tip.
Yep. Are you...
That's why she couldn't pay back the Nimbus to the school.
Yep, that's why the school fund is currently derelict. What a nice Bobans right now. This is
She's in the Christmas spirit.
She is. She's feeling it. She liked the Crookshanks bits.
Yeah. Oh man, we should have dressed Jackson up. After that little bit about Crookshanks with the tinsel, I'm like, you said we had some extra that you couldn't put on the tree. You can always go and get some. Except I think Jackson would kill me.
Yeah, good luck getting it on him. Could probably put some on Yorm.
Yeah, probably.
But I don't know what the point of that would be.
Yeah, not really.
He's tinsel. He's the same shape.
Tinsel.
He's the same shape. I mean, he is.
Yeah.
He's the same shape.
Not as, fluffy.
Well, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I got everything out that I wanted to say as we were reading it. There was a lot in there. Marauding beasts, 13 to Dine, Hermione, it just the Crookshanks Scabbers stuff, the whole if Scabbers had powers we didn't know about.
Well, what do you know?
Well, you see, later on in the book, you'll find out. That
And they talk about right after the whole Peter Pettigrew thing.
Yeah, with the finger and all of that, like a lot of stuff happened in this chapter. Buckbeak too. I'm George, by the way, just so you know.
Oh, okay. Hey, another person with 4 cats, alright.
I know, we're not the only ones with 4 cats now. Look at that. We're not the onlyest ones.
Do you have a Jackson? A magnificent orange?
Horrible Bonds. Horrible Bonds. Bloody Bonds.
A Crookshanks, I guess.
A Crookshanks, I guess. Does anyone else have any thoughts about the chapter? I don't really know what else to say. We kind of got a lot out.
I mean, I guess it wouldn't be a bad thing if we didn't have anything more to say. We did say this was going to be kind of a quick stream because it is Christmas Eve.
It is Christmas Eve. People have stuff to do. We have stuff to do. I'm sure other people have stuff to do, places to be, and all that. So,
I know, or just, relaxing before the mayhem that is Christmas.
that's true. Trying to mentally prepare yourself for Christmas Day. Hermione is a busybody.
Oh my gosh, she really is.
She is, but I can understand why she's doing it, given everything that's going on.
And at the end of the day, she is right.
She is
Sirius
right.
Black bought it for her.
Yes, Sirius Black did buy the broom. But, given what happened to Harry in book 1 with his broom, Quirrell jinxing it,
Yeah.
and, anyone knowing Harry,
And, flying into the Whomping Willow.
not for nothing, but I feel like if Voldemort just sent Harry a jinxed broom, that'd be it.
Would have been over.
Would have been over.
Voldemort is just kicking himself now. Why didn't I think of that? Could have been so easy. Oh, absolutely, Janet. It is our pleasure, and thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, thank you for popping in. Yeah, I mean, I feel like Harry and Ron being... I think the thing about it that would have been better is if Hermione had at least discussed it with them first. At least said to Harry, this is suspicious, there's no note, there's no card, what if Sirius sent this to you?
She kind of did. She was like, well, we gotta tell McGonagall or whatever about it, and this and that. The fact that she was the one that went to McGonagall, though, was the issue.
Yeah.
I feel like she should have, at the end of the day, it should have been Harry's decision.
I just think if she said, you don't know who sent it to you, but if she had voiced the suspicion, what if Sirius Black sent this to you?
Yeah.
Then it wouldn't have come across as she, went behind their backs. Because that's how it reads, is, she snuck around behind their backs, and they feel, betrayed by it a little bit.
For good reason.
And she says, and Professor McGonagall agrees with me. It just... She didn't handle it the best.
No, definitely
I
not.
think that's... I don't think it was bad that she did it, because she's looking out for Harry's safety. She's worried about him.
Yeah.
Justifiably so. Just didn't go well.
Yeah. The end justifies the means, but the means...
We're
could
crappy.
have been smoother.
Yeah, the means were not good.
She died a few years ago. I'm sorry to hear that, George.
Yes, my condolences. I'm sorry for that. Oh, did Obobans leave?
No, she's on top of the bookshelf. I feel like she would be at home in a library. Library cat.
Oh,
Some libraries have.
yeah, Bobans.
She loves being on the bookshelf.
She does.
We had to leave one shelf just bare, just so she can sit up there.
I know, we could be putting stuff up there, but no, she's got to sit on that. Right, Buns? Buns!
On that note, though,
She looks
I
like
mean,
she's gonna take a nap.
did you have anything else you want to say? Or?
No, I feel like I got everything out.
All
I
right.
feel like we talked a lot.
Yeah.
There was a lot in there. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really have much else.
Is she worried, though, or just is obsessed with being right? Because she is wrong for record. Broom not tampered with. I mean, yeah, it's not tampered with. Right, that's from Sirius Black. And at the time, we don't know that Sirius Black is a good guy.
Right.
Because, I feel like it's not one or the other, it's both. I think, like, she's worried, but you can't talk about Hermione without knowing that she is obsessed with being right. Like, yeah, she definitely is. But I think in this case, there was definitely more worry in place.
I don't think she was worried about being right. She doesn't know it's from Sirius Black. I think she's worried about Harry. I think it genuinely is coming from a place of worry and concern for his safety.
Yeah, probably.
I don't think it's like she's obsessed with being right, because how are they going to know it's from Sirius Black? They're not going to figure that out. But she's worried that there could be something wrong with it.
I mean, I agree.
Besides, even if it's not from Sirius
But I
Black,
think-
what if it's from someone else that wants to hurt Harry?
Yeah, maybe Voldemort, got the idea. Maybe it was Lucius Malfoy.
I mean, Lucius Malfoy sent
That-
some bullshit into the school last year.
That would have been great if Lucius said that. Draco,
2 years.
You bought Harry Potter a broom, but not me.
I bought your whole Quidditch team brooms last year, Draco.
That's last year's model.
Right. She's both right and wrong. In the Crookshanks Scabbers case, she was objectively wrong and mean to Ron. It's not like there are a lot of those brooms lying around. It had to come directly from the store. Yeah, but you still don't know who bought the broom.
Yeah, and
You're still not going to know
Nocturne
that
Alley
Sirius Black bought the broom.
Nocturne Alley is right around the corner. Probably wouldn't be too hard to just bring it down there and be like, hey, put something on this that'll kill a kid.
Like, I feel like Hermione is very much heart in the right place. Because at the end of the day, McGonagall says, you'll get it back if there's nothing wrong with it. We just need to make sure there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
I just think it would have been better if she had discussed it first. As far as Hermione and Crookshanks goes,
She's definitely playing favorites.
yeah, she's a little.
There's a lot of favoritism going on there.
She's being a little insensitive.
Yeah.
There, for sure. The whole Ron, Hermione, Scabbers, Crookshanks thing, like she's not knowing who Scabbers is, not knowing what Crookshanks is trying to do.
Mm.
Like, it reads like this cat is really stressing this animal out, and Hermione is just like not giving a shit.
Yeah.
That does not look good for Hermione.
No, definitely not. Can't defend her there.
Can't defend Hermione on that one. I will defend Hermione on her choice to do this, but maybe not necessarily the way she communicated and went about it.
Yeah, there was definitely a lack of communication.
She should have straight up said to them and discussed it, rather than just say, oh, it could have been sent by anyone. No, you should have elaborated, Hermione.
I feel like she should have discussed it and had Harry go to McGonagall instead of going straight to McGonagall. She needed to convince Harry to go.
But by the same token, maybe she knew she couldn't convince Harry, because she couldn't stop Harry going down to Hagrid's even though he's not supposed to.
Fair enough.
And then with a broomstick, but she could have at least made the attempt to convince him. That way, when she does go to tell McGonagall, it wouldn't be like, oh, you've betrayed me. Why would you do this to me, Hermione? You're so mean. It wouldn't come across that way, you know?
Yeah.
But I don't think Hermione's decision to do that was wrong. The choice to go to McGonagall, just the way it all unfolded, was not good.
Fair.
Especially after this whole thing with Scabbers had just happened, and Ron was already pissed off to begin with at her.
Well, on that note. Was there anything else?
No, I got nothing unless anyone else has anything else.
All right, then I think we will call it there.
Yes.
And wish all of you a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays.
Yes.
If you don't celebrate anything this weekend, just have a fantastic weekend.
Absolutely.
And we will see you this Thursday, right?
This coming Thursday. Yep, should
we'll see you then.
All right.
Take care, everyone.
Bye, everybody.